Alright, so we're working on the 1914 or 1915, whatever you prefer. I do actually think it comes out to 1914 if you do the math, but I called it 1915 for years until I was corrected. So to be politically correct, I usually call it a 1914 on the videos, or 1915. Let you guys decide what it is. But I'm working on the motor. I got the cylinder heads apart today, got those glass suited. I'm going to get the valves refaced. I figured I'd go ahead and turn the camera on. I know a lot of guys have seen this video. I've already started the valve job on this head. I've got to cut one more intake seat and we're going to do the other head. I had to cut the exhaust seats. They were sort of out of whack a little bit. They're brand new heads. She said it's only got 110 miles on it. The heads had a date of 2000 on them. So that's still 17 years. So I don't know. Maybe that's when the motor was built. I don't know what that date meant, but anyway, let's go ahead and cut that. We'll just cut the 45 on it real quick, and then we'll swap over to the other head and do the same on that. We were just freshening it up. The seat's got a little black. Don't know why. The motor was running a little rich. I checked the jets on the carburetor, and they were within range. 115 main jet's not very excessive. So we're going to try putting a stock fuel pump on the motor. It was set up for an electric and it didn't have a regulator. So we'll go with that and see how that works. Maybe it was too much fuel pressure, overloading the needle and seat. As you can see from the tops of the cylinders, you know, the coating's already coming off for 110 miles. Something wasn't right. You know, whether the cylinder was getting washed down or the piston to wall clearance wasn't correct when they fired the motor up, or whatever it was. We're going to try to fix that. Not try to fix it, we're going to fix it. So we have the new piston cylinders for the motor over here. We're going to do a video on those. We'll take those apart. I'll show you why you should disassemble them when you get them out of the box. A lot of guys will just push them out and put them on the motor because they don't have a spring compressor. But it's important to take them apart so you can properly lubricate the ring pack, put a little oil in the skirts and the cylinder itself, clean the assembly oil off, and make sure their proper clearance is there between the cylinder and the piston. If it's too tight, you can hone the cylinder now. If you start the motor, you sort of damage the piston. So always check it, and most of the time it's correct. Sometimes you got to run a hone through it. It'll beat home, and just prevents having any damage from the piston on the initial startup. So, but tonight we're cutting the cylinder heads. So. We put some Dykem, or layout dye, on the seats. It's the green stuff you see there. It's a transfer dye. You put it on metal and you can do scribe work with it, or you can use it to do all kinds of cool stuff. One of my buddies that does body work, got a YouTube channel, James Freddy. Go check him out. He uses it to block his metal work out with. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, watch your eyes. And those are all nice looking. Just clean the dye off, and then we'll soap and water them. Soap and water them one more time before we assemble them. We'll have to lap our valves in, and I like to clean them after that with soap and water. The valve lapping compound is usually a water-based product, so it cleans up really good in the sink, and you don't want to have any of that stuff left on the cylinder head, because if it gets on the valve stem and gets into the guide, it'll just totally wreak havoc. So we're going to swap this head out and grab the other one. I did find this push rod in the motor also. We're going to replace that. I've already got another one. It's just a stock aluminum push rod. But you can see the groove that it's wearing in there a little more, and it's going to compromise that. So don't know if something fell down in there and was rubbing between the tube and the push rod, or if there's an interference issue. We'll have to check that on reassembly. So alright, brush with this Dicamon. Mine's getting all dried out. It's time for a new bottle. I've had this one for quite a long time. They sell it in smaller bottles, and that's what I recommend buying, because it's not something you use a lot of unless you're going to do a lot of metal work. I could see where you could use the big bottle, but the little bottle's fine. I thought I would go big and get the big one, and it turned green on me. Traditionally this is blue, and over the years of having it, it's turned green, which is pretty interesting. So, alright. I'm going to start on the exhaust valves. And we just want to put a little 45 on those. Just take the carbon off of them. Here's my stone, hiding right out there in front of me. There we go, that's better. Alright. There's simple one angle. Come on, baby. There you go. Alrighty. Switch this over. I'm just going to give the intakes a little clean up. The intakes always clean up much quicker. There's not as much heat on those. As you can see. That one's a little off right here. That looks good. Alright. So that's that for that portion of it. Nobody got shocked. That was good. Clean this up. Need our lapping tool. Take these out of here. Done with the pilots. Do this little cleaning. We won't need the Dicam when we lap the valve in to establish our line. It should transfer to the valve into the seat. That's when you know you have a good seating surface. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll move over to the other machine over here and reface the valves and tips the top of them. So you're all shook up. So there we go. This is the old Sue valve surfacer sun in. We're going to take the, we'll start with the intake valves. I already cleaned them up earlier today. Got them all defunked, degreased. And I'll just stack them in here usually. The machine's already set up for a 45. You can set it up for whatever angle you want on the back here. And all we want to do is resurface our valve right now. So we're going to move this out of the way. Run that baby down. I want to adjust the chuck and make sure that that you weren't doing a big block Chevrolet last week, you know. And we're going to check and make sure we don't have any interference with our stone. And we'll get the pump over here. Now we've re-established the 45 on our valve, so we can lap it to the seat. That was the best one yet. Hear how fast it cleaned up. Sounds like I might need to put a little more valve spring on this thing. Usually when you have a motor with that low miles, it really doesn't make sense that the valves are that far out of true. You heard only one really cleaned up in a good amount of time. We'll go ahead and reface the exhaust valves next, and then we'll move over to the other side and tip the top of the valve. Yeah, those are pretty out of not very true. They will be now though. Hey, you can see how this one doesn't really want to clean up. It's get over here, get over here, get over here, and then whoa, it's not cleaning up right there, right there, right there. So that's a leak. And that's a leak. Well, we'll see what we can do. I don't like to cut them too much because then you go have no margin, and on an exhaust valve you don't want to cut past the margin because the valve has a little ring that glows around it. So you got to be careful how much you cut off of one of these. And the margin area is right here, so between the head of the valve and the seat. And this gets real thin right here. it'll like to glow, especially an exhaust valve. Still got a fair amount of material there. This is your margin area. When this gets really thin, you'll see it a lot of times when people resurface the valve a couple times. It'll glow out here. That one was a really nice one there. Alrighty. We gotta back you guys up to this side of the machine for the tipping process. And make sure valve adjusting surface fresh again. See the imperfection in it when it's not flat. Move the camera one more time, and we gotta shake you one more time. Most of you guys have already fallen asleep by now. It's amazing. The Volkswagen guys are pretty die-hard though. Alright, so we just sprayed these off with some carb cleaner. Ooh, what a catch. And we're going to let those hang out over there. They have no hole. They have no home. We're going to give them a home now, and we're going to establish a hole for each valve by lapping them in with some valve lapping compound. So let's start with the intake valves. They're bigger, you know, looking stupid trying to get the suction cup stuck to them. So this head had two different numbers on the heads, two different sets of intake valves. It's quite common. You're going to apply a little lapping compound on the freshly cut surface of the you don't want to use a lot of this stuff. No, serious, you want to use enough to get the job done, but if you get this down in the guide, it can be a problem for you. That's why you always want to wash the head after you get done doing this, because it is very abrasive. When we used to build the go-kart motors, you actually use toothpaste. That's how they would. The guy that taught me how to do them, he liked to use toothpaste on his. I never knew toothpaste was so abrasive, but I guess it is. A little racy, but pretty nice. You can see the seats all the way up at the edge. Got a nice, nice seat on it. Nice, nice 45, right where it should be. We'll wipe this out, get as much as this can out of the head, and then always soap and water the head. And now we have to keep these valves established to each hole as we lap them. I'd probably be good at starting a campfire, huh? Alright, there you go. Really nice all the way around. Sealed up. The more sealed the motor is, the more power it'll make. This will really make the motor run good. Fresh set of heads always perks the motor up. And this only has 110 miles. This is really why I always show you what to do with a new cylinder head. You know, you want to make sure that the valves are lapped in. The motor's going to run properly. Obviously these heads are pretty new when this combination was put together, however long ago it was. Whether it be 17 years ago or not, the parts are pretty decent. These are a set of OEM heads. But this motor had several little things that were just holding it back. I think one of the things I'm going to go ahead and do is change these valve springs out. Come on out of there. But anyway, the valve springs are a little weak, and it looks really sweet. I didn't invent this. I learned from somebody, so thank you, Scooter. Scooter and Steve Durkee at Durkee Auto Machine. I worked at Durkee Auto Machine when I was very young. I don't know, 16, 15. I was young, man. I had a Mustang and I wanted to get it running. The motor was in a bunch of pieces, and me and my buddy Kenny to me, Kendrick to everybody else. I don't know, we had some pliers and an adjustable wrench and a few other tools, and we wanted to build a 12-second car. Every kid did in 1970 something, you know. But anyway, I just went through the phone book calling all the local machine shops that I could get to on my bicycle. And I went up and talked to him. And he measured me up when I walked in the door and knew I was an idiot. And he said, "Lad," that's what he used to call me, lad, "you need to wash some parts before you can build a motor." So I washed parts there and disassembled stuff and machined flywheels and cylinder heads for 3 or 4 years. And then went to work for Scooter, and he's a master at this valve job stuff. And I would watch as much as I could watch because I got paid by the hour there, so you know, I can only kiss up and watch for so long. But I would watch every second that I could. Him and Rick Morrow taught me everything I know about cylinder heads, and a few other people, but I'm not going to name drop, you know. But Scooter and Rick were my biggest two influences. And Scooter really, it sort of became an art with him. And I used to love to watch him do it because he really liked doing it, whether he believes it or not. Because he was, I don't know, when you're really good at something, you make it look really easy. I don't know how to explain that. But people know what I'm talking about. Told you the exhaust valves will make you look bad. That's why I like big valve heads. Is this thing still running? You guys awake? I'm really apologizing about these long videos. There you go. We got consistency from head to head. The seat location.